guys, I was filming a website review for one of my clients and I completely lost track of time. All right. Hello, welcome. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about how you can get ready for the boom that we are experiencing, right? Okay. Hello and welcome. If you are watching here live, jump into the comment section. Let me know where you're watching from and if you're excited about the wedding boom that's happening. And if you're watching the replay, leave me a 2 and where you're watching from. I definitely still want you to be involved in this conversation. So what is this wedding boom that everyone is talking about, right? And I don't know, my light is just a little crazy today, so bear with me, guys. I'm like hiding in my upstairs office. My beautiful downstairs office I can't use because my kids will see me and they will want to hang out with me. And I'm almost done for my workday here now. Okay, so what is this wedding boom that we've been hearing so much about? And what can we do to actually get ready for this boom and, do everything that we need to do in our businesses so that we can make money, we can book those brides, and that we can be in our best possible position for your business, right? All right. For some reason, I can't see the chat. It's not letting me see the chat. I'm not on my usual computer either. I gotta make sure that this is going. So guys, let me know if you can hear me in the chat. Otherwise, I will just have to restart it. That's so strange. Okay, so I have a few resources linked for you in the description section today that you'll want to look at. So if you are like, okay, supposedly there's all these amazing weddings happening. 2022 is going to be the biggest wedding year that we have seen. I know in the US and probably in the world since about 40 years is how long it's been since we've had this many weddings. And so if you're thinking, all right, how am I going to take advantage of all of these weddings and maybe grab a few for myself? Definitely grab the free guide that I have below. It's Attracting and Booking More Wedding Clients Guide. It's probably one of the best free resources that I've ever created, completely free. You can grab that down below. That's going to be a great place for you to start if you just don't feel like you have any idea what you're doing, maybe on social media with your content and really with your brand, so that you have some clear direction in your marketing to find and book these brides, right? So that's going to be the first thing that I share with you guys today. Now, I have to make sure that the sound is working. And I think that it is. Yeah, it is. I just can't, for some reason, I can't see the chat here, but I can see it on my phone. So don't worry, it is working. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and dive in. So the thing that I really think that is so important is that sometimes when photographers are excited about weddings, they're all about let's market. And they almost forget to set up the back-end support systems in their business that are going to make it possible to serve all of these couples really well. And in doing so, they lose out on potential future couples booking with them, right? Because see, this is what could happen. Let's say you do book a handful of clients because you've been marketing yourself like crazy. You're showing on social media, you're doing styled shoots, you're blogging, you're doing all the things, right? Let's say that that does work out and you book those clients. If you don't have the back end systems figured out for how you're really going to serve them well, how you're going to make sure that you don't miss any of those crucial steps in your workflow, in your editing, in your post-processing, and if they don't feel really well taken care of, you miss out on the word of mouth referrals, which are the strongest marketing that you can possibly have in your business. And it's very, very possible for wedding photographers. And you then just miss out on all of that. And then you're stuck in this continuing cycle of like hustling in your marketing and not having people that are marketing for you, right? And so I think that one of the easiest ways to make sure to get ahead of this, to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success when it comes to your systems and the back end of your business, is to make sure that you have a CRM. So a client relationship management software. And I linked mine down below. I love and use HoneyBook. And I'm never going to use anything else. It's just wonderful. It has everything that you need. Now, I think a lot of times photographers will say, okay, I don't need this yet because I have other things that work. So you're going to need to be the best judge of, how your business is operating right now. But I will say it is a lot more helpful than you think in the beginning to actually start on a CRM instead of waiting, because transferring, 15 weddings into a CRM or having some weddings in your inbox and some weddings in your CRM, it kind of defeats the purpose. It doesn't make your life more easy. So the link down below will get you 50% off your first year and a free trial. So check it out and see if it's for you. But either way, make sure that you're thinking through what you're going to take your client through, that experience that you're going to take them through. Otherwise, you do run the risk of like just being burnt out and like forgetting where each of these clients are at in this process. And the reason that I really like Honeybook is that you can see visually in a pipeline, is what they call it, what client is at what step and who needs, an album to be made, and who needs you to get back to them with pricing, and who has paid their deposit but hasn't had their engagement session. Like, it's all there. And I like that I don't have to go into my Gmail email to see that, because I don't want to see other like vendor emails. I don't want to see non-client related work, because I want to focus on serving those clients in that moment. So it's also going to make you much more productive. Okay, so I can see the chat on my phone. I see Stephanie and Michelle. Hi, guys. Michelle, I miss you too. I hope you're doing well. Thank you guys so much for showing up and hanging out with me here live. Okay, the second thing that I think is a really important thing to think through, almost in preparation for getting busy, which is what the boom really is to really be thinking through your client gifting. Because again, we want to give just the most epic client experience so that they turn around and they just can't help but sing your praises. They can't help but tag you in all the photos. They can't help but tell their friends who are getting engaged that they really need to go with you. And I think that one of the best ways to do this is to mitigate that immediate buyer's remorse that often happens when we make a big, sizable purchase. So I feel like this happens a lot of times with, like, I was going to give the example of like buying a car, because I recently bought a car like last year. And it's just, no matter how excited you are about that purchase, no matter how much you were certain that it's what you wanted, it's still such a big decision to spend thousands of dollars on something. And so I think wedding photography is much the same, if not more emotional than buying a car, right? And so what I like to do is make sure that as soon as that client decides that they want to book with me, that they receive just a really quick win and that they know exactly what's next. So this is where your workflows come in. This is where you really want to be thinking, okay, the second they make that deposit and they sign that contract, what do I want to happen for them? What do I want them to feel? And I want them to feel excited. I want them to feel certain, taken care of. So you want to make sure that you send them that immediate email confirming they're in, telling them next steps, and sending them something, either a welcome guide or a gift. And I like to do that together. I think it's a really great idea to send them a welcome gift that has something that they can use for the wedding itself, useful information like a bridal guide, and then also just something that's like a little treat for them that represents your brand. So start thinking about your gifts, because I think this is something you do have to think about ahead of time. You have to look into, you have to price it out. It is something that you're going to have to put a little bit of thought and time into, so that when the weddings start coming in, when you're booking clients, you're very busy, you're in the thick of it, much like we are now in the fall, that you already have your vendor figured out. You already know exactly what gifts that you're going to send and how that's going to work and what the budget's going to be, so that the workflow is quick and it's simple and it's effective. Oh, you guys are so sweet in the comment section. I'm like looking on my phone because I can't see them on my desktop. Thank you guys so much for being here. Yay. Okay. You've got your CRM, you've got some of those backend systems set up so that you're going to be able to not have anybody fall through the cracks. You have your gifts dialed in. And then number 3, and I think, I'm not going to say this is the most important, but it's up there. It's pretty important. Have a plan for how you're going to continue marketing when things are busy. What happens is we're in this cycle of like hustle, 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 and then you get the client and then you stop because you're so busy, it becomes difficult to post. Like, have any of you ever been so busy with clients, been so busy actually shooting and second shooting and editing and doing all the things that you don't post to social media? And it almost gives the impression that you're not busy. People are like, oh, well, I'm not sure what she's doing or he's doing. They haven't posted, they're not sharing. Whereas the exact opposite is true. You actually are slammed. You're busy with work. You're busy with album design and editing and all the things, right? So by having a plan of how in your workflow, when you go to edit those pictures, how you're going to take some time to share those on social media, what tools you might be able to use to publish to social media more effectively, like Planoly or Later, or any of these apps that have free plans and can be super, super tremendously helpful for saving time. Having that plan in place now is really going to help you to get out of this feast or famine cycle where you might submit your work and you're super busy, you're published all the places, and then all of a sudden it dries up and you say, okay, where are the inquiries? Wedding season, engagement season is coming, the holidays are coming. Where am I going to get my clients? But it may be because you took a hiatus from their posting, regularly, submitting, getting featured, all the things, right? Okay, so Michelle says, I've been sending a gift by mail, but considering gifting them in person at the engagement session. I really like the idea of that. I think if you can send them something immediately when they book, so you countersign, you get the deposit, they're booked. If you send them the like, yay, you're booked, let's book your engagement session, and then you give them maybe a guide for picking out their outfits, who they can get their hair and makeup done with. You're really guiding them through the process, and then when you do see them, you can gift them. I think that's great as long as you're holding their hand throughout this process and they're never left wondering, okay, like I booked her and I'm excited, but like I feel like I'm one of 30 weddings, and what if I have questions? And it's like you don't ever want to leave them wondering what's next. So that sounds great, actually, Michelle. I really, really like that. Okay, so what's the best way to start doing weddings okay, Kara, your comment got cut off. Can you go ahead and retype that for me? Okay, so let's jump into the next point. So basically getting out of that feast or famine cycle of your marketing, making sure that you have a plan. If you feel like you do not have a clear marketing plan, you do not know what you need to be posting, what messaging you need to be bringing forth to properly represent your brand, and on top of that, if you don't feel like you know what your brand is about and how it's different, you do need to check out Hook and Book Brides. That is my signature program. I'm in the process of actually revamping it. So all of my past, present, and future students are going to get all of the updates. So I know I see some of my students in the comments. And so all of you guys are going to be getting an updated workbook. It has over 100 pages in this workbook. It's actually kind of like my manifesto of how I built my business. But built in a framework of giving it to you to build yours. And so it is a complete workbook. So if that's something where you're like, yes, I'm ready to double down on weddings, but I'm a little unclear on exactly how to bring them to me and then book them, you need Hook and Book Brides. And that's linked down below. Okay, so then the next step 4 of how to prepare yourself for this wedding boom that we're experiencing, the biggest boom in 40 years, is to have a formal process in place for collecting your reviews. Because you're going to be shooting a lot more than you normally would. And because of that, you're going to be, of course, busy. And your reviews are just so crucial. They're going to be a great way for you to, you got that social proof, first of all. But it's an easy post for social media as well. If every Wednesday you shared a different review or a different experience that your client had, you just took care of one of those days of social media for the foreseeable future. And I know that when it comes to buying decisions, especially emotional buying decisions like wedding photography, reviews are incredibly crucial. I recommend that you gather these reviews on Google Reviews. You might have a Wedding Wire account, you might have a Knot account, and those are great. And you can use those in order to get the best of weddings with the Knot and Wedding Wire. And I have received those awards for years, but here's why I think Google is the best. I think Google obviously runs the internet. Okay, so they're basically deciding who sees your stuff and who doesn't. And when you play by Google's rules, Google shows you to people. And that cannot be understated enough. That is cannot be overstated enough. Yeah, one of the whatever's more important, that one. You have to be seen. You have to have your stuff showing up. So your blog posts that you're spending so much time on need to be search engine optimized. Now, if you have a Google listing associated with your website that is linked and active and is getting 5-star reviews, we know that this plays into Google's algorithm of whether or not yours shows up when they search, Cincinnati wedding photographer, and you are also ranking for those words. And so there's tremendous opportunity for ways that you can use your Google listing in your marketing, one of which is gathering reviews. There is actually a lot more that you can do with your Google profile that we don't have time to jump into today. But if any of you guys are interested in that, let me know. Maybe I can come back and talk solely about your Google business listing and just optimizing the heck out of that so that you get more organic reach in your search engine optimization. So have a formal process in place. And what I mean by this is like, it's not anything crazy. I include this in my email templates for you guys inside of Hobby to Pro Toolkit. Basically, it's how I ask for a review, how I make it so easy and so simple and such an easy yes, and how I build that into my workflow. So at what point when your client has received their images, they're excited about their gallery, they're ready to, sing your praises, that's when you're asking for the review. So building this out into your workflow, making sure that you have the template, when you're following up, and you have a way to follow this. You could put this on your pipeline inside of Honeybook. You could literally just ask for review after they've already been delivered their album, they've already gotten their gallery, and before you decide that that project is closed, let me go get a 5-star review. Let me ask for that review. This is also a fantastic time to tell them about your referral program. And if you don't have a referral program, I highly recommend that you start one. I have a couple of different email templates inside of Hobby to Pro Toolkit that talk about how to ask for a review, how to share about your referral program and get people talking about you, and then just some potential things that you could put in your referral program. So that's all inside of Hobby to Pro Toolkit, which is linked down below. Okay, last but not least, so we've gone over 4 things to prepare for the wedding boom. Number 5, and I'm reading these so that I don't forget. I can't even read my own handwriting. Give me 1 second. Yes, I know what it says now. It took me a second. Man, I need to have better handwriting. Okay, so basically, last point is that I just don't want you to burn out. And so what I think is really important here is to be thinking proactively about things that you can outsource and get support on so that you don't burn out. I work with a lot of photographers. I work one-on-one. I have group coaching. I have my products and downloads and all kinds of things. And then, of course, inside of PhotoBoss, which is my free Facebook group. For anybody who's not in that group, please join. I hear so oftentimes this dichotomy between, saying, oh my gosh, this is my dream. I would do anything to photograph weddings and leave my day job and do this thing. But then sometimes once that God, this is way better light, over here. I don't know. I need to just lean forward and be here. Sometimes then once you're busy, there's overwhelm of it becomes a burden. And I want the businesses that you build. My tagline right now, I feel like in my education business, is helping photographers step into the role of photo boss by building a business that you love. So I want that business to pay you. I want that business to support your life, the part that really matters, like your family, your kids, the part that's going to be your legacy, right? The photography is just part of your life. And I want the photography to support the rest of your life. And so thinking about ways that you can outsource the things that you don't like or the things that take up a lot of your time can be a phenomenal way of supporting yourself through potential burnout. And I think so many of us are in this right now where we're thinking about, we're just trying to figure out okay, how do I either raise my prices or get more help, or we're battling burnout because it's crazy. We're at the year 2 mark or something of a pandemic. It's just madness. So if you're feeling a little burnt out, I hear you, I feel you. And I think one super crucial step, even if you're not in a place where you can go right now and say, okay, I'm going to hire an editor, or I'm going to have somebody come in and design my albums, or let me just hire a VA for 2 hours a week to clean out my inbox and help support me with graphics on Canva. If you're not in that position, one of the best things you can do is a brain dump where you plan what you will be outsourcing in the future. So if you brain dump, there are some things that you can do. You can eliminate, eliminate, automate, delegate, and what's the other one? Prioritize or something. So you need to figure out what you can press pause on, what you can automate. So that's our workflows, the emails. Do not write the same email twice, you guys. Start thinking about your templates in a really, really smart way. And if you're I don't want to build a workflow, I have Hobby to Pro Toolkit for people like you who don't want to sit there and try to figure all this out. You literally just get all the back end of my business. So all those templates are available immediately in my shop right now. It's called Hobby to Pro Toolkit. It actually just came out earlier this month, not even a month ago. So it's a brand new product, and it's saving photographers a tremendous amount of time when it comes to tightening up their business and just becoming more professional. Okay, so we're going to go over those 5 things again. 5 things that you can do to get ready for the wedding boom. Number 1, think about your CRM, think about your workflows. I love HoneyBook. Whatever works for you is whatever tool you actually use. Okay. So it's not like if it's not HoneyBook, it doesn't count. I'm not like that. I just want you to use something that's going to save you all the time and keep you organized. Number 2, think through your client gifts now, because this is going to be one of those things that really helps you to stand out, to brand yourself, and you might not have time when you're busy. Number 3, plan out your marketing and what you're going to do, especially your social media marketing, before you get busy, because so often photographers oscillate back and forth between posting and then being busy and not posting, which leads to not being busy because you're not posting. So plan it out. If you don't have a plan, check out Hook and Book Brides. It is a complete framework. It's a 5-step framework for attracting and booking your dream brides. It's available below. Number 4, have a formal process in place for collecting reviews. This is so important. And it's one of the easiest things that we can do. It just takes a little bit of time. So it's simple, but it's a little bit time consuming to go back and ask for reviews. But I'm telling you, it's one of the best things that you can do in your business. And number 5, think about ways to outsource, get support to avoid burnout. All right. I hope this helped you guys. If you have any questions, I will stay on for a couple minutes and answer questions. Ryan says, I have the Hobby to Pro Toolkit and OMG, it has helped me so much. I love it. Thank you so much. Ryan, that's so nice of you. Thank you. I'm glad it's come alongside of you in your business and just aided in this process, because I know it can be very overwhelming to think like, okay, we need workflows. So I've included those. We need emails. I've included those. You need your processes almost in your business, as well as your policies. So I've included those, as well as a complete checklist for starting your business. If you feel like you've been a little professional, a little not, and you just want to make sure that you haven't missed any steps, I have a checklist for you in there as well. Doing some contracts, and I mean, what else, guys? There's so much inside the Hobby to Pro Toolkit. You can get all the information on the sales page, but it's basically the back end of my business, just like wrapped up with a bow, and I just give it to you all at once. Okay. Tara said, what is the best way to start doing weddings? If you can. I'm trying to look for the rest of your question. I don't think you ever finished the rest of it. Yes, thank you. Okay, so like just the best way to start doing weddings. I think the best way to start doing weddings is to build a portfolio around weddings. And the most obvious answer for that is either styled shoots or second shooting. I think you should do both. I think there's a lot of benefit to doing both. But you're going to need the experience in the portfolio, and there's no better way to learn than it not being all on you for that day when you're not full ready. So, I know some people are able to just jump right in with like a family wedding, and I think there's nothing wrong with going into a wedding with very little experience, as long as that client knows you have very little experience. And a lot of times, the families and friends, they see in your work, they're like, yeah, you're great. That's awesome. They just want something simple. And so it can be a perfect foot in the door of the wedding industry. But second shooting is another great thing. You can sometimes shadow photographers. I think workshops and styled shoots are phenomenal as well, but ultimately just shoot your camera like crazy. I can't overemphasize just being good at your craft is very, very important. And then get the business back-end knowledge, because all the beautiful images in the world are not going to actually book you the wedding. So you have to make sure that you understand the marketing side and the branding side as well. And of course, I have like 100 and bajillion videos here on YouTube that share how I booked my first weddings, what I do for marketing, free marketing tips, all kinds of things. I really have been quite the open book here on YouTube. So check those out as well, Kara. All right, guys, I'm trying to like go scroll all the way back because I can't see your comment here on the page, but I can see them on my phone. Okay. Okay. Zed said, can you please talk about how much we should charge for wedding photography or videography in general? That is a good question, and one that is not something that you could just spew out an answer, because I would need to know your costs of doing business. So this is all summed up in Hobby to Pro Toolkit. There is a guide called Path to Profit or something. Profit. But it's basically like a calculator, and it goes through all of your cost of doing business. It talks about your unique revenue goals, because for me in my life and the bills that I have, they're not going to be the same for you. But then also taking into account your experience level and the market that you live in, and then how many weddings and portrait sessions you want to take on. Because if you are limited, for example, to only shooting 15 weddings per year, but you need to make over $100,000, that's going to dictate your prices, right? And there's also the whole conversation of what market you want to basically angle towards. And so that's why branding is really important, because understanding where your pricing places you in the marketplace is very important. And then knowing how to talk to that market, right? So that's a complicated question. We've talked about this a little bit inside of PhotoBoss for sure. There are all kinds of pricing calculators online that you can look at for free. I think knowing your own costs and knowing your personal revenue goals are going to be the most important metrics for you to look at when it comes to your pricing. Lesser important information, like, what are your competitors doing? What's the cost of living in your area? That kind of thing. I think that's important, but it's not the most important, because I've seen small town photographers charge premium prices and people will pay for it if the brand supports it. Okay. Okay. Ryan says, quick question. Have you come up with a release form for use of photos taken for us photographers? So Ryan, inside of Hobby to Pro Toolkit, there are now 3 contracts available. And you will see a use of images clause in those contracts. So you can pull that out. I can just extract that from those contracts and put it in a separate document for you. But essentially you just need a clause that says, I can use these images for marketing and that I own them. And you'll find that in at least the wedding and the portrait contract. You won't find it in the second shooter agreement. So you will find it in both of those, and that's available right now. Okay, Ellen says, I love this. Thank you, Ellen. So fun. Thank you guys for being here. If you have any more questions, drop them in the chat. And of course, if you're watching in the replay, leave me a 2. Let me know where you're watching from, and you can always leave your questions as well. I hope this is helpful and just a fun, short, 27 minutes, so short-ish video of how you can really prepare yourself for this wedding boom. That's very exciting. And then next week, hopefully, if I can get my video edited in time, I will have a go back to pre-recorded content here on my channel. And I'm going to be rolling into some new really different content, just stuff that's exciting for me. I want to talk about taking your own self-portraits, working in a studio in my house. So just really, really affordable studio stuff. If you have almost no room like I do, just how I've set up a studio backdrop and how you might be able to do that as well. So just some fun topics, things that I've always wanted to talk about. And yeah, so if you're not inside of PhotoBoss, join PhotoBoss. That's in the description. And guys, come find me over on Instagram. That is one of the best places to keep up with early releases of products and things when they drop. I'm not going to share too much, but some exciting things are coming in October. And you will not miss anything if you are following me. Either email is always huge, PhotoBoss or Instagram. Those will be the first people to know about what's coming in October. But guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to hop off, go have some lunch, and I hope you guys have a good week. Bye, guys.